It's Thanksgiving week.
Yes, it is.
I think this is only the second time we've ever done a breakfast type broadcast.
Yeah, I think so.
It's just not in our wheelhouse because usually people associate drinking with nighttime. They don't ever associate a brunch.
Exactly. And there's so much that can be said for breakfast drinks.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. So.
But I mean, this. I think I titled it the episode today around the idea of what do you have for breakfast on Thanksgiving Day.
Right.
All right. Which, when you look at that and you go, well, yeah, that's my typical recipe for that morning, right?
Well, besides forgetting to eat, which I do sometimes do because I'm focused on cooking that I forget to eat.
Well, that goes into the other part I put into it is routines. Some of us, we have a routine, and some of us, that routine takes us out of our regular routine and we skip eating.
Right.
And some of us, you know what I mean, over years, I think as I got older, I put a routine in for each part of the day. So it's like a day off. I don't work at all, right? But I am working because now, 9 a.m., the smoker gets fired up,
Right.
It's between 8 and 10 that I bring out the old oysters and pop them on the grill, and set up the oyster bar.
Right.
So it's like I've got a routine down, but I didn't have that when I was in my 30s. I mean, my first time, my daughter, I was like, no, I was not that organized.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I've always had a routine for Thanksgiving Day just because we had a process. We'd start cooking first thing in the morning. And then the funniest thing is that we throw the turkey in the oven and then it's like, oh, we have nothing to eat.
Yeah.
Every year, same thing would happen. And so then I started making appetizers and having that available. So in between doing things, it's like appetizers so that we could start eating before we had dinner. Yeah. And I'm making my eggs right now. So bear with me as I deal with my stove. Over here because
what eggs are you making?
Well, I'm gonna make it easy. Whenever I need anything easy, it's scrambled. That's
I normally do scramble, but today I tried to do over easy and I broke one of my yolks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will show you my failure joke.
Okay.
So my bottom one, it's underneath. The one underneath is actually a broken one.
Okay. But you throw the ugly one at the bottom. That's exactly
that's what you do. You put the one that broke on the bottom. But my toast the butter didn't fully melt on it, but it's all right. At least I'm going to keep it off the floor.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, eggs and bacon are just the easiest thing. What I normally would have for breakfast is a milkshake. So it's my protein with my peanut butter. And I used to use regular peanut butter. Now I'm using the powdered peanut butter with my protein, a banana, a little bit of ice, milk, blend that, and that's my breakfast. And that works out perfectly. But that's me by myself first thing in the morning when I'm heading out, on any regular day. But if I'm home and others are home, well, I'm going to cook more than that because they need to also eat a little something.
Yep.
Because that's important. Well, the other thing that I did, which I do like to do, is yogurt.
Oh yeah, like a yogurt. You do like a parfaits.
Yeah, and I usually like it with either granola or let me just throw the bacon in here. It's not my favorite bacon, y'all. So this isn't usually the bacon that I use. But that's what because I made bacon on Sunday, but then the smart one, I was going, oh, BLTs, and then I ended up eating it all, and it went, oops. This was supposed to be, I was supposed to save some of the really nice thick bacon from Kroger from their meat department. I had gotten the regular bacon from Farmland from the stand. And then, of course, as I was going to get the stuff for dinner, I was like, ooh, bacon. And so I love getting the bacon at the meat department because the bacon is so good. It's nice and thick.
Yeah, nice thick bacon. Yeah. I got a good packet of thick bacon that I have here, and I had it specifically to make for the show. But I did use some of it for a BLT this week, and I still have some of it left out there. But like, I don't eat breakfast normally. I don't eat breakfast, but on Thanksgiving Day, I usually get a late breakfast. Sometimes on weekends, I'll do a late breakfast.
Yeah,
right?
I do like making breakfast on the weekend. You know, that's something that I absolutely love to do after my run, like pre-run. I'll depending on how long my run is, I'll either do just a a half a granola bar. Maybe I'll just do, if it's a 5K, then it's just my my honey stingers, and that's about all that I do. But if it's if I'm having a longer run, then I'll do a hard-boiled egg. And that's definitely something I want to do because I need to get energy in. Otherwise, forget it. I'm not going to make it. So I know you have toast, and I do have toast here to make.
I do, yeah.
I have sourdough. However, normally, me being me, I have a tortilla instead.
Of course.
And another thing that I do that some people think it's pretty disgusting is that I love adding a little bit of ketchup or salsa when I have scrambled eggs.
Yes. To like what I have over easy, I would never do it that way. No. Yeah.
Definitely not. Definitely
yes, I always do them on, and I do very little ketchup, mostly hot sauce.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I like it.
And most of the people are wondering, because our show is called Like the Way You Drink, all right, Like the Way You Drink podcast. What are we going to drink for breakfast on Thanksgiving morning? Now, there are two different things that we would drink at our house. One, we're going to get a nice little bottle of champagne.
Right.
Mix it up with some a 50-50 mixture with either some orange juice, grapefruit juice, or in this case, pineapple juice.
Oh.
You know?
Okay.
You know?
So
I was going to do peach Bellini, but I just did not have the right peaches here to do it. So
well, what I was gonna make, but I didn't have the time just because my schedule right now is my busiest time of year. So, taking a little bit more time, it's not in my wheelhouse right now. But I do have a recipe, and I will try it, and I might make it Friday. Is a pear Bellini. So cooking the pear with cinnamon and a little bit of ginger and going through that process. And I do have pears. That's why I thought, ooh, pear instead of peach. But I did make my little peach puree, and I do have orange juice, my simple light. So this is my favorite orange juice. It's Simply. Sometimes I'll do Simply Light, or I'll do the Trop 50. I do enjoy that too. So so this is my breakfast here. Is
awesome. Well, have you been see what I did with mine now on this, and I would, if I was doing tortilla, I would do it the same way. I put my egg up on the toast like that.
Oh, yes.
And I eat it. But if I had the tortilla, I would be wrapping it in the tortilla. Right. And then and I would add my bacon into it, a little bit of sauce in there. That's where I like the scrambles, because now you put your little bit of your ketchup and your hot sauce inside of it. And it's almost like a burrito. Yep.
Exactly. And if I have a little bit of cilantro, I will throw that fresh on top. It's like, oh my goodness, that's like the best. So,
but
I'm putting on my lips, y'all.
But the one thing that we do on Thanksgiving morning at our house that I was not going to do because I don't have them yet. I actually go down and get them usually either Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning, because I got to drive from the new house. I got to drive an hour to go pick them up. Is my oysters. So I do fresh oysters.
Oh, yes.
That we put on the grill. We just do it up until they pop. Then shuck them open, and we have the whole fixins to fix your oysters out there with crackers and all that. And we do it outside. It's usually done outside. I usually fire the fire pit up, right?
Okay.
And or we do it close to the smoker, so there's some warmth if it's cold. But we stand outside and eat them.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Show me your breakfast, please. I'd love to see your breakfast, because I want to get a picture of your breakfast, because that looks yummy. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But while we're
So-
standing out there, we're not drinking these. We have another drink that we would do.
So there's a few different things that I would do for morning. I would either do a Bloody Mary. I would do because Bloody Mary is just super easy. You know, my Mary's mixer with some vodka, and then throw in celery because my turkey is protein, so I put meat and veggies in it, and so I already have the celery out. So throw the celery in there. If I've made bacon, then bacon goes well with the Bloody Mary. But then, of course, making a mimosa is super easy for me. It's 3/4 of brut and 1/4 orange juice. So that's my ratio because that's what I like. That's what I prefer. So it's 3/4, 1/4, and there are certain places that I go that they already know, and they're like 3/4, 1/4, and I'm like, yep, thank you, and they know exactly what it is that I want. Now, just remember, folks, when you are opening a bottle of sparkling or champagne, whatever you may have, they
Have
are
a towel
under
handy and do this with it.
Yep.
That's always
and
mine. Yeah.
And you always want to, even before you take off the little protector guy, you never know. Sometimes there's so much pressure. And when you twist, you're twisting the bottle, not the top.
Yep.
So, that one's a tough
Well,
one.
right now I'm mixing up I'm mixing up my Bloody Mary. Mary's Mixers, I'm sorry. I don't have any supplies here. Our wonderful sponsor. I had to borrow somebody else's, but I will not mention who they are because they aren't a sponsor of our show. Anyway, but
There it is. I love
I
that
am going to
stuff.
make it, and I will be making some of this. I have several different kinds of vodka here, but I will be making my Giddy Up vodka. All right, which is a horseradish one that I will be making on Thanksgiving Day. Always love my spice on Thanksgiving Day.
Nice. Well,
especially when you're having it with oysters.
Right. Now, what I'm going to do, because this is a peach Bellini, you could get this made. When you go to a bar, most of them will have orange juice and the sparkling, so you can get a mimosa very easily. A Bellini is not as easy to find. It's because it is a process to make the Bellini. What I did is I cheated a little bit because I didn't get a chance to make my pear one, but this time you can use it with either frozen peaches. I used canned peaches with, and it's a light syrup, so it's not overly sweet. And then I added lemon to it and blended it, and then I put it through one of the my little doohickey guy here to get most of the pulp out. And I'm going to put that at the bottom rather than at the top because, as I'm making a mess here, because otherwise it's going to linger at the top because it is thick. And I don't want it to linger. And so this will help bring it up without just lingering at the top and having my sparkling at the bottom. And then there's always So non-traditional, I'm doing what you shouldn't be doing, but I am doing it. So, and then one of the things that is also for some folks is a no-no is putting a spoon. I know I have my little, here's my little guy. If you don't have a spoon, because the metal helps keep the fizz in, one of these little doohickey guys, this one, if you are using this, make sure it's in and that it snaps underneath because it will pop out. If you put it in, if you don't put it on all the way down and it doesn't snap, it will pop off.
Yep.
And you'll hear the pop. So
now, for tonight's broadcast, I specifically went down to my local liquor and I got one of the small bottles.
I was going to do that, but I needed it cold because I got it today. Had I gotten it yesterday, I would have been able to do that. But what I did do is get Michelle, Domaine Saint Michelle. They are in Washington. They're part of the Columbia Valley sparkling wine. So they are in Washington. I can't remember. Oh, there it is. Patterson, Washington. I have been to their winery. They make absolutely delicious sparkling. They have the Prosecco. I like the Brut just because I don't like that overly sweet. So that's why I grabbed this one. And I guess I should have. And then the other thing that I did was that because I don't have my other glasses, because apparently I took them to the office and haven't brought them back home. Ooh.
Catch. See?
So I am using my Tiffany.
Always use a flute. Yeah. Always use the tall flutes.
Yeah. So Sandra Yancey with E-Women.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that gave me the set of Tiffany flutes, probably 2021.
Okay.
Those I have out, and I said, you know what, I'm going to splurge, and I'm going to. So thank you, Sandra Yancey, for your generosity. She is always so good with taking care of her peeps and finding gifts and keeping them for when she needs them. And having Tiffany. And
I think that would be the first time that Sandra Yancey's ever been mentioned on our show.
Yes, it is. I might have mentioned E-Women before. I'm not sure, but Sandra Yancey, definitely the first time.
Yeah, and I'm friends with the Yanceys as well. And yes, I was an E-Women member for a long time myself.
Yeah, and that means you were an email.
I was one of the ones that took the hard knocks when I was the early males.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put this here. I'm gonna see if I can get Chateau Saint Michel or Domaine Saint Michel in the back there, so that way we'll give a shout out to E-Women and Sandra Yancey for her generosity. That was kind of cool. So here's two. So it's not overly sweet. I really do like that.
And I did make my little Bloody Mary over here, so
I love it. It looks gorgeous, gorgeous. Now,
I love that horseradish one. Oh, that horseradish vodka is so good.
Nah, I'm a little jealous. I want one now. So some of the things that me, I'm always looking for. Hey, what about this? What about that? Well, there is a history to the Bellini. So yeah, it used to be white peach puree and prosecco. So the prosecco, of course, being the sweeter of the sparklings, and it started back in 1948 by the founder and barman at the legendary Harry's Bar in Venezia. So it's off the Grand Canal. It's an iconic bar where Humphrey Bogart and Truman and Capote and Ernest Hemingway, they used to go there a lot. They used to frequent. And so there was a lot of glamorous guests that used to go to Harry's Bar and see his and just converse with the owner. And it was simple food, just drink, casual atmosphere, and the menu was always seasonal. Right? So it was everything that was from the Venetian countryside, and so that's what inspired the region's fragrant white peaches. And I love peaches. I mean, I remember being a little girl, and when I would get up in the morning, I would go outside and I'd go to the peach tree and I'd touch the peaches, find the perfect peach, cut the one I wanted, and bring it in. And then Mama would get me ready for the morning, and I'd have my peach. So I absolutely love peaches. No, I did not have white peaches, but growing up in East LA, having a peach tree, that was a big deal. So that's one of my fond memories with my mama and growing up. So that's where the barman invented the Bellini. And so it calls for gently stirring 2 parts of the Prosecco in 1 part of fresh peach puree served in a chilled flute. And the legend has it that the drink's characteristics of a sunset shade reminded the bartender of the chromatic paintings by a 19th or the 15th century Venetian artist Giovanni Bellini. And because it reminded him of that, that's why he named the drink the Bellini, or after Giovanni Bellini. And so that's why the drink got its name. And then it quickly, of course, from there, because of who was going, spread to New York, spread to Paris, and from 1948 on, became a little bit more well-known in the U.S. So it's when the owner's children took over, they continued to produce that sparkling wines in their father's tradition, and And in 1988, the family decided to spice it up and they put Bellini in a bottle. So that was one of the things I'm like, ooh, and I did look at the supermarket, but I knew I wasn't going to find it. I would have had to have gone to my local liquor store. I didn't have time. So I said, but I want to check out a Bellini in a bottle, see how I like it. And if I could find that specific Canella's ready to go Bellini, then I'm going to definitely try it. Because that's something different, and why not try something different? If I don't like something in a can, then it just stays in the can. I won't have it again. Like wine in a can, I've tried it and I don't care for it, and I won't have it again. And I think I still have a can.
I think I had one I liked on the wine in cans. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like but for me, this is an easy peasy breakfast. Bacon, eggs, yogurt, tortilla. And yes, I do cut off my piece of tortilla. I dip my egg in the in either my hot sauce and my ketchup. And I do break off a piece of bacon, do the same thing with my egg. So no fork needed. And when in the morning, when I'm trying to get ready to prep my stuff to start cooking, yes, I'm not very dainty. I just shove my face with food. Mm. Mm. Crispy bacon, but I still prefer the thicker bacon to cook.
Yes. To me, I do like some of the thinner bacons that are out there, but how I cook my bacon, I like my bacon crispy, like hard crispy, not like the soft. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people like it softer. So
yeah, I prefer it a little crispy. When I'm having a BLT, I do like it a little bit softer, just because I already have the crunchiness from the bread, from the lettuce, and then I have my pickle on the side. So when I'm having a BLT, I do like it slightly softer, but I don't like that really soft. No, I like that crispiness, that yum.
BLTs. Oh man, that is one sandwich I love having. And it's not a weighty sandwich either. I know the bacon's probably the worst thing in this whole sandwich for you, right? And it's not a lot. It's not like you have a lunch meat sandwich. You'd have stacks of meat on there. No, there's like 2 strips.
Yeah, 2, maybe 3 strips. And I love adding avocado to it. So ABLT.
Yeah, yeah.
But
my friend Sarah is messaging me, asking me if I signed up for the kickball tournament.
Oh, you have a kickball tournament coming up?
Well, there's a lady in our chapter.
That's doing a fundraiser of some sort.
It's a fundraiser. We have a lady in our chapter who's got cancer for like the 8th time. So we're doing kick cancer in the balls. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. I like that. Mm. Mm. Too big of a bite on that one.
Yes, Sarah, I'm answering your text. I know she's not going to see this, but later on she's going to see it. Yes, Sarah, I'm answering your text while being on the podcast.
Well, the other thing that I sometimes will do, not a whole lot, but I'll do yogurt, and I do like to add a little bit of something. So some fruit. So if I have strawberries, I'll throw strawberries in there. In this case, it was pieces of chocolate and slivered almonds. So that is another breakfast that's very quick. I sometimes will add yogurt to my morning protein shake, but sometimes I will eat it just like this. What is that? And this is a Chobani Greek yogurt. Okay, so Chobani, well, it's not too bad. I was and I also put coconut in there. This combination isn't so bad. I definitely like the Bellini with the breakfast more than with this because there is a little bit of chocolate in there. So the chocolate is clashing with my Bellini. But I think if I just do the yogurt without the chocolate.
I've done it where I've gotten the granola, a coconut granola.
Okay.
All right, and that makes it.
So I remember when I was working as a waitress in high school, um, the cooks would heat up a yellow corn tortilla and then give me a strip of bacon, and that was easy to grab and go. And as I'm doing one thing, grabbing whatever it is in the back, I could eat that one strip of thick bacon that was perfectly cooked with my yellow corn tortilla. And by the time I was coming out to the front, I'm swallowing the last bit of it, and I'm like, okay, that's all I needed to get a little bit of energy to keep going. Because when you're starving, you do not need to be starving when you're taking care of customers, because they don't need the hangry person that I turn into when I haven't eaten enough.
No. Have you ever had to work a food job where you were starving? Mm-hmm. And you're sitting there staring at the food going, damn, I'd like to take a break and eat right now.
Mm-hmm. So I gained weight because when I would go to the back, the French fries were right there. So it was easy enough to grab a couple of fries, 2-3 fries, shove them in my mouth, go to the back, get what I needed, and come back. Mm-hmm. And again, as I'm coming back out, I'm swallowing. And so that would help, kind of ease down. But yeah, fries, bacon, tortillas.
Yep.
Yeah, I gained weight. I gained a good 10 pounds working there through high school. Mm-hmm. And even though I was active there, I wasn't working out the way, because at that point, my physical education was so different. It was that I wasn't doing all the running. I wasn't doing all the things. And so then, of course, when I had downtime, I was usually doing homework, and therefore not enough exercise, bad food equals gain weight.
When did you become more focused on your health and start doing your running?
Well, I guess after Mom passed away.
Okay.
And I had, I was pretty healthy and had muscles and everything in 2005, 4 or 5. Between the time I was like 29 and 34, I was making sure that it's like, oh, I'm starting, I need to do my sit-ups and, doing the workouts, and not a whole lot of running during that time though. But I would watch what I was eating. I'd do the, certain workouts. Well, then when my mom's health deteriorated, then of course I was focused on her. I was working and taking care of her. It was just, my eating habits were really bad. I wouldn't eat until 8, 9 o'clock at night, which is horrible for me. And then I wasn't eating breakfast because the first thing I would do is like go see Mom, and then from there go to appointments or whatever it was. And so I gained a lot of weight. And after she passed away, I joined my local gym, which was like next to where I lived. And so 2016 is when I started to go to the gym a little bit. And then because my clothes weren't fitting me, everything was so tight that I was like, I'm not comfortable in my clothes. In January 2017 is when I was like, oh, my clothes are starting to fit me. And that's when I started, that's when I first joined the group to do a Spartan race. So we did a couple of Spartan races and other mud runs of the sorts. My endurance was in, upper body strength was in. 2018, I had ankle surgery. So in order to get my endurance back, I started running. So it was February, and in July, I started doing a little bit of running. Mm-hmm. That helped me with my endurance. And that year I did 3 Spartan races in August, September, October. And then I realized that I actually enjoyed running. So 2019, I really focused on my running, and my physical therapist who was taking care of my ankle, she gave me a few tips. She goes, oh, your running's not bad. Do this, tweak that. And within a month, I came in third in my age group for a 5K run. Wow. And then my endurance got better. My posture got better. I started enjoying running even more because it's like the next race. In that year, 2018 or 2019, I was supposed to do a half marathon. It wasn't quite a half marathon. It was shortened, so I don't count it. Then in October, I had my next one, but my ankle was bugging me, so I downgraded it to a 10K. And so January of 2020 is when I did a 5K trail run. Then I did a beer mile. Came in, I think, second or third in my age group under the trail, first female in the beer run. 2 weeks later, I did my first half marathon, came in third in my age group. 6 days later, I did my second half marathon, came in third in my age group. Then the following month of February, I did a 10K, came in second in my age group. Then did my next half marathon, came in fourth. I was like, oh, almost came in third. And then I PR'd another virtual run that was the Shamrock that we ran right before the lockdown. But 2020, I still was, I mean, I could go out and do a half marathon in under 2 hours just because I went out and ran.
Wow.
2021 endurance went down, 2022 trying to get it back up. And so this year I've been more focused on my running, more focused on my races, more focused on my time. And slowly but surely my time has improved, and just following my Garmin, telling what my Garmin tells me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I still enjoy it. I truly do. But I used to love running when I was in junior high. That was the
and I'll get into mine in a little bit here, but when did you first get your love for wines and whiskeys and start getting into that?
For wines, my friend,
we never shared this with our audience about what our histories as to why. We never have. I never thought about that.
Right. Well, I started enjoying wine. My friend Nina, who lives in Northern California, she's the one that introduced me a little bit more into wine. That means I hadn't tried it before I had, but she would literally go wine tasting. And I was like, oh. And then they did wine tasting along the wine road. And so it was a whole route that you can follow, and they had food and wine. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, most of the food had their wine in the recipes. So that made it even more fun. And I hadn't really cared for red wines, but when I did that, I tried this delicious beef stew, and their cab was in that beef stew. And when I tasted their cab, it was absolutely delicious. And so Geyser Peak in Northern California, Sonoma area, that's who got me into reds. And that's from then on. I like reds. I love reds. Whiskeys and scotches, it was in 2013, 14, somewhere around there is when I started to really enjoy it more. And Mom and I would have a little bit of a scotch. We'd sit after we'd have dinner, and we'd watch Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, and then Wheel of Fortune, and we share a scotch. And so Mom liked scotch and she liked wine because she was eating and drinking what I gave her. And so that was it. And I continued liking single malt scotches, and then started to experiment with other whiskeys and other bourbons. And that's when, my love of liquors came to play. And then being part of the being around individuals, commissioners for the Oregon Liquor Cannabis Control. They weren't cannabis at the time, but or Oregon Liquor Cannabis Commission. Yeah. It was just being around it. It was like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. And getting to meet the people and getting to see the history. It was like, oh, wow. And that's, me and information and learning. It was like, that's what really, I got very giddy about it. That's why I'm always sharing information, history of whatever it is, because that for me is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it was, I mean, I used to always do like Bloody Marys or something like that, mimosas as far back as like 98, 99 that I would do for breakfast. Right. It wasn't, I didn't get into tasting things, and I'm not talking just like alcohol. I'm talking food, become a tasting person until I went to work for Starbucks in 2005. Okay. And that's where I learned to develop taste for things. So like, and it was with Starbucks, you had to they had a thing called a coffee passport. And you had several different pages on different coffee. And that coffee, when you tasted it, you would do a tasting with it, and they had a list of what foods they had that would go with it.
Oh wow.
You put the food and the coffee together, all right, and see how they paired.
Oh.
That, as I tell my baristas at my current Starbucks, that was the curse for me. That is what makes my current baristas hate me, because I can taste a bad cup of coffee. I can taste a bad espresso shot. And I'm not mean about it. I just can come in and go, your machine needs to be clean today, right? I mean, I could tell them because I learned taste there. After I left Starbucks is when I met Gwen, 2009, 2010, where she would take me on wine tastings, because she'd done wine tastings. Well, now, because I had a developed palate from tasting from Starbucks, and I did that coffee passport that Starbucks had 3 times. I went through it 3 times in 5 years.
Wow.
And they had a coffee. After the 3rd time, I was doing it the 3rd time because I was then going to go into the coffee master program that Starbucks had. And then they paused the program towards the tail end of my employment with them. And I got so upset. Like, I wanted to do that master program, not because I wanted to walk around. I mean, I know guys around Starbucks who wear their black apron and their coffee man. No, I wanted, because I really wanted to develop the taste palette for things, right? So when I go out for wine tastings, it made so much more sense of eating crackers, eating a certain grape, all right, eating a jelly, eating a certain cheese with what wine you had. That became my taste thing. And as far as liquors, I mean, I've always had, whiskeys, bourbons, stuff like that around my house, right? I've always been a whiskey bourbon guy. I've always been a moonshine kind of guy. I've always had it. And I actually said to Craig one time, I think we were at a mastermind might have been at his house or someplace like that. And I said, I've brought my moonshine to your events. He goes, I know. And I remember sitting at a mastermind of his with a mason jar of it, just sitting there, and it looked like tea, right? Just it was aged a little, right? Looked like tea, because I had it mixed with something, and I was just pouring glasses of it. I drank the whole quart sitting there that morning, all right? And I wasn't even tipsy at that, right? It was a flavored moonshine, but still, it's like, that's me. That's my tasting. And then when I learned that taste palette on regular alcohol, so moonshine is your typical, just like your whiskeys, but it's not aged. So they don't, after they do it, they don't put it in the barrels and let it sit. No, it's fresh out, and you fresh pour it out of the jar and you drink it, right? Type deal. Now, the first time I ever had moonshine, right, I did not just sip it. I took a gulp. Oh, that hurt, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. I've always learned to always taste a little before I do. Even when I was doing tequila shots, I'd always taste a little before I did the shot. I was in my early 30s, I will say, when I was probably 32 at the time, maybe 31, when I learned to really appreciate vodka.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, what do you mean? What's the difference between Grey Goose? And it's like going, oh, bartender.
I know. My wife still comments, how does a non-taste alcohol have taste? And I'm like, it does.
Kind of like water.
Flavor notes
Yeah. Don't tell me water doesn't have flavor. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yeah. So I had a shot of Grey Goose and a shot of whatever or whatever else was there. And just the smell of the one and the smell of the other, the one tasted like rubbing alcohol. The other one had a smell, but it was very different. And tasting this one, it was like, whoa, I mean, you're feeling everything. And then you do the Grey Goose and it had flavor, but it was like this, smooth. And I went, wow, what a difference. And I do remember at one point I was like sipping on a martini. It was a dirty martini. I was really into dirty martinis and trying to sip on this one. I'm like, I cannot drink this. And the bartender says, well, we can't do the 3-for-1. I said, I don't need a 3-for-1. I go, I can't even finish the one. So he upgraded it to a Grey Goose. And then that one was like, oh, there we go. And it's like 2 for 1. It's like, all right, I'm okay with that. But you know what? Um, I, I don't want the headache. I don't want to be sick. I've gotten sick with cheap alcohol before. I don't drink that much, but when I did, it was like my body said, mm-mm. So,
My body can taste now. Um, like I had a neighbor who used to drink Keystone Light, and he used to get on me because I always had very, shall we say, very unique beers, right? And he goes, dude, I just drink Keystone Light. I don't need that fancy beer. And I'm like, that fancy beer, I'm drinking it for the taste, not for to have a beer. Now, I will use Bud Light or Coors Light or Miller Light to boil my shrimp. Like when I do shrimp, I boil my shrimp in beer. I do not boil my shrimp in water. I boil shrimp in beer.
I love that idea.
Yeah. And that is the one place that Bud Light is good for, because no matter what beer you boil your shrimp in, it's going to have the same taste. The beer is not going to affect the taste. The type of beer is not going to affect the taste, but beer versus water will.
Right.
Some of the tasting things that I did was, I remember going to Jim Beam Factory up in Kentucky.
Okay.
All right. And we did the tour, right? And then we went in for the tasting. And I remember going into the tasting, having a blast, right? Because they regulated what you get. Like you have a card and you have like 5, because that's all they legally can give you on site tasting. And I remember tasting all kinds of stuff. And I remember, Gwen, there was a Baker's number 7 that Jim Beam made. And that Baker's number 7, Gwen loved it. And she goes, oh my God, it figures. The expensive stuff is the stuff I like. And I'm like,
of course.
Yeah. Now it's funny because now it's like, that was 2013, maybe 14 at the time, right?
Right. 10 years later.
10 years later, right? Like Jim Beam's like water. It's like a Bud Light to me, right? It's watered down. It's a lower, and it's not that it's bad stuff. Jim Beam is a very good quality product.
Right.
Jim Beam and Jack Daniels, I know they're 2 very well-known names, but they are 2 very good quality-oriented companies. In other words, they are focused on making the quality of what they make.
Exactly.
All right. Just your taste palette changes over time. And I know a year ago, you could have given me Woodford Reserve. I was happy as can be. Now I like Angel's Envy. I still love my Iron Wolf, but truthfully, I think I had a Garrison's Brothers the other day at the bar. Garrison's was still a good one. It's like down here in Texas. Those are probably 3 of the good ones. That TX stuff, not into it, not interested.
Yeah. No, you got to have good stuff. You really have to enjoy it. And as our taste buds evolve, and sometimes they just change just for whatever reason. Yeah. And so that's okay. Trying different things is perfectly fine, and not liking what you used to like, that's okay too. It's just called evolving. It's called learning. It's called changing. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Now, does that mean you're probably going to spend more time on your alcohol? Probably. But guess what? You're probably also not going to spend as much, because you're going to enjoy it so much that you don't need as much. So it's going to last you longer.
Exactly. So, that's why I have so many different things here that I can sip on all day long.
Yeah.
And it's just like, going, well, I remember the episode we did with the tequila, that Layla tequila.
Lalo.
Tequila, it was like creamy tasting of tequila. Yeah. Like, I'm not a tequila guy, but I had that. I like it all of a sudden. I was not a tequila guy before that. I remember trying bourbons when I went to Jim Beam, and then trying other bourbons. Like, nah, not for me. Then I got into my different moonshines. I found different moonshines that were commercially made. And then I went back and tasted bourbons. Like, ooh, okay, that bourbon's got some nice taste to it now, right? Yeah.
And I gave some of that to one of my office neighbors. I was like, hey, you want to try, what would you like to try? He goes, you got tequila? I go, yep. And so I pulled a couple of tequilas out. He tried one. He says, this one's good. And then the Lalo, and he's all, oh, he goes, what's this? And I'm like, it's Lalo. And he's like, this, he really enjoyed it, had not heard about it. So that's kind of the fun thing, sharing with others and knowing the history and how, where it all came from. So that's kind of the fun part of it. I thoroughly enjoyed this. Definitely enjoyed my breakfast with my Bellini over the yogurt with my Bellini.
Yeah.
I think that might have gone a little bit better just with the straight sparkling without any juice in it, just because of the flavors. The citrus and the peach, just I think I didn't try it with orange juice, but I think it clashed. It did not go very well. But my breakfast, I think, would have gone well with your Bloody Mary, with mimosa, or with the Bellini. I think it's just those
Well,
flavor palettes went well with the bacon and the tortilla and the eggs. It just went very well.
some mornings though, I just want the plain champagne for my breakfast. I don't need the orange juice or anything in it.
Right.
I'll drink it by itself some mornings. It's just
Yeah.
it's different. Like we did Saturday. No, this past Saturday. No, Saturday before we did. When we went for coffee, we take some sambuca for coffee.
There you go.
Some sambuca
And
in our coffee.
one of the ideas that y'all can do, is if you're having family over, and one of my office neighbors, they're doing a family gathering for breakfast at one of the family members, and then they're going somewhere else for dinner, another family member. But what you can do is have a mimosa bar. So you have the different flavors of that will go with a mimosa. So you have your sparkling, and then you have your pineapple juice, you have your orange juice, and then you might have grapefruit juice. Maybe if you do have some like a peach puree, you can do that if they want to make a Bellini. And then you have some celery stalks, and you have maybe pickles if you want. Somebody wants some of that, some olives. You can have different toppings that people can make their own, and have toothpicks so that they can pull it out. And people can then make what they want specifically to their taste. And all it took was maybe 1 or 2 bottles of sparkling, and have a Brut and a Prosecco. For those that want the sweeter, it's the Prosecco. For those that like that drier, not so sweet, like myself, then it's the Brut. And have them make what they want while you're still cooking, because entertain them. Here's some appetizers, get your own drink, and have a good time. So hopefully y'all can take some tips and be able to implement them on Thursday or this weekend.
I will have on Thursday morning. Because I have some people coming over who don't drink, so I will have a Bloody Mary mix without alcohol into it that they can drink by themselves.
There you go.
And then for those who want, there's an alcohol. They can add whatever vodka they want, because we have several vodkas on display.
There you go. You just tailor to your peeps.
Yeah.
So,
well,
this was good. I enjoyed this one, even though I didn't have time to, spend as much time on my Bellini as I would have liked. This was still a good episode, I think, of sharing information, learning the history, and giving options on what you can do this coming Thursday and into the weekends as you visit family, or
as you having another breakfast on Friday morning and another one on Saturday morning, and how it goes.
Absolutely.
But next Monday night we have our yearly. I think this is going to be our 3rd year in a row. All right, that we've done this. I'm going to go back in history and see if we did it the first year. I know we did it last year.
I think we did.
But last year we did it. We decided to make this an every year thing, and that is, it's going to be what to do with leftovers episode. All right. And I still don't know what drink I'm going to do. I really don't. Because we don't really have a drink, but we talk about leftovers, and we talk about all the things we can do with our leftovers, what we can do to have a drink with it, how we can carry the party on, because Thanksgiving is never just Thursday. All right. It's a family event that sometimes go through the weekend. Thursday, sometimes there's Friday events with your family, and Saturday. And I know our family, my mom is currently, she visits her brother on Thanksgiving, but she'll be back here on Friday. And I know my nieces and nephews and my brother and sister-in-law will be up, and we'll be doing cookies here in the house, right? I'll be putting Christmas decorations up. So it's like, it's a weekend family event. So leftovers go a whole different way. That's why we're going to do a whole episode on leftovers.
Leftovers. There you go.
Thank
you all for being here today. Make sure that you subscribe to like the way you drink.com. You can be part of our Insiders Club. A lot of things are coming up now that we've had some things in the background happening. Y'all get to be the first to know what's going on, which is pretty exciting. And it's free to join. So just make sure that you're 21 and over. Go to likethewayyouDrink.com, sign up, and we also will be taking some of your ideas on what you would like to see, what you would like to hear, what you would like to know more about when we start getting together the next time after my crazy time, subsides, because right now it would be all on Tim's shoulders with all the holidays and everything. That's not cool. So we're going to start getting back together again next year, early in the year. But your ideas will be taken into consideration now as we plan into next year. If we not if, but when we have events, that will be on your dime. But we will be putting together some options and taking your ideas into consideration. And if we can give you some freebies, we will. But for the most part, if you are traveling, that's on you. But we hope to be able to invite you to our hometowns and have you try different things and experience the joy that is of pairing food and wine and trying new things from local distillers and brewers and winemakers, vineyards that are just unique. And hopefully you get to experience that with us. So like the way you drink.com to join. Anything else you'd like to add to that, Mr.
I
Tim?
will be changing. Yeah, I will be changing the page so there will be an obvious button that will pop up to join. All right. And again, it does have a thing that you must be 21 to join. All right. That will be changing here in the next week. I'm trying to correct that on the website. I'm trying to make our website a little bit more standoutish. Right now, it's just an advertisement for the podcast, and I want to make it more of an adventure and more of Gladys's story and my story about why we do this, why we are the way we are, but then also why we do this as a couple, as a business couple. I got to state that before Gwen and Sean get mad at us. I know.
Right.
Gwen wouldn't get mad. She's just like, yeah, whatever. You have another work wife. Yeah, whatever. I don't know about Sean. I don't know Sean as well yet. All right. Sean and I have only drank over camera. We haven't drank in person yet.
Right.
And Gladys is worried that if Sean and I ever start drinking in person, that we'll get rid of Gladys and Gwen, and the two of us drink all the time.
I know. What the heck, man?
Anyway, that was really cool. I talked about
it. He won't move to Texas and you won't move to Oregon. So I think
I know.
we're good.
Yeah. The two of us are screwed because we're both like stuck in where we are. We refuse to go with the other place. Yeah.
I've been in Texas, been there, done that, and I'll visit, but I just don't want to stay. I've been there, done that. It's okay. It's okay. I like my new home up here in the Pacific Northwest, even with all the rain and all.
Yeah. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, this broadcast is brought to you. 85 broadcasters now is all brought to you at the expense, all right, of Gladys and I, all right? We put this together every week because it's our passion. We love what we do. We like the way we drink. That's why we call the podcast that. We do. All right. But our businesses is what pays for this, all right? And every week we give a little commercial for our businesses because of the fact that you may need the services that I or Gladys offer. So that's why we do this every week. So, of course, Tim is always going to be ladies first. Gladys, tell them about your business, girl.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. So I'm Gladys Boutwell, Insurance by Design. I help employers attract and retain quality staff through employee benefits. I'm licensed in Oregon, Washington, and California. But if you have questions about, hey, can I afford this? What are my options? Guess what? I will help you find a broker in your area, but I will still share information. If you go to insurancedesignpros.com, on the upper left-hand corner, there's a little button where you can get a white paper that will give you 101 employee benefits for all budgets. So it's ideas on what you can do. The book is coming out. It's at print. It is being worked on. It's going to publish between this and next month. So I'm pretty excited. My book on understanding your health insurance secrets revealed, is going to be relaunched with updates from 2016 to now. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I got both of my books that are coming up. So go to insurancedesignpros.com, do the white paper, and as the book comes out, I will keep you posted that it is coming out and you can get it on Amazon. So Gladys Boutwell, Insurance by Design, helping you attract and quality staff. And this is my co-host.
Hey guys, Tim Gillette. My name is Tim Gillette, and Simple Easy Marketing is the thing that basically I've trademarked, but I started a company this year called Simple Easy Websites. Why? Because I think you need to have something on the web that tells people who you are, what you do, and how to get hold of you. It matters, and you need to have it done. So we created a system, Simple Easy Websites. Now, people say simple, easy. So like basically you just do the quick things to get my website up. No, that's not all it. sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's about the people coming to your website. If someone came to your website right now, is it a simple and easy process to get to know you and do what you want them to do? Get on the phone with you, fill out a form to find out more information. If they're not able to do that on your website now, if they're not able to buy a product now, I always say within 3 clicks, if they're not either contacting you or buying a product, your website ain't working. I'm going to use that word, ain't working. Simple, easy websites is just about that, making the process simple and easy for your customers, clients to find you, get to know you, and buy from you faster. All right. You want to find out more? Go to simpleeasywebsites.com. That's all I got for our commercial this week. Any other shout outs? We good?
Thank you to the Hefas for my red lipstick. Apparently it is, again, taco proof because this is, this is like a taco. I mean, I was eating tortillas, so I had to put this one on. I'm like, ooh, I had it at the office. I wore it last week for another podcast that I was invited to, which I'll let you all know when it airs, or it's probably going to air around January. So I had my red lipstick on because boom. So, yeah. So
it's funny that we're probably going to have more sponsors that aren't liquor before we have sponsors that are liquor.
And that's okay. You know what? When we get all those other little things, those can be fun because we're going to use them. It's one of those.
They all matter and they all relate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In one way or another. So thank you all for being here and support local. If you're going shopping on Friday, Saturday, support local. Your local businesses, you might think, man, they're more expensive, but they're local. And when you need a sponsor for something, guess who's doing the sponsorships? Amazon isn't, Walmart isn't. None of those businesses are sponsoring the local high schools or local areas of anything nonprofits. It's the local businesses. So please support local. We appreciate y'all for being here with us this week. We'll see you next week.
All right. Cheers.